this video, I'm going to talk about the competition details and then share my thoughts and suggestions for this upcoming competition. So the next Town Star competition will be happening on Tuesday, April 18th, 2023 at 12 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you check the Town Star announcements in the Gala Games Discord and verify what time it'll be in your time zone. Before I get into all the meta details, let me go over the reward structure one more time. So this is the new reward structure that's going live starting this competition. It will now reward the top 1,200 players with both Gala and an NFT. They've said the Gala reward will be paid out fairly quickly, and the NFT reward will take some time as they have to actually test it and add it to the game. For this particular competition, the NFT reward will be a power plant card. From my understanding, it's going to work just like a ghost card. It's going to increase the speed that you craft energy in a power plant. Honestly, that utility does not sound very good, so I don't think you're missing out on much if you don't get this card. Of course, the higher your rank, the more Gala you qualify for, and the higher rarity the NFT will be. But like I said, this NFT, the utility, at least from my understanding, doesn't seem that good. So yeah, but it is very nice that they're going to give us both rewards in the competition. And this is going to be how the reward structure is for the regular competitions moving forward until they decide to change it again. And if we get a lot of new players added into the community, then they're going to want to expand the reward. So expect that to happen. And just to be clear, this is not the reward structure for May Mayhem. That reward structure has not been released yet, and likely it's going to have way more prizes than this. So look out for that one during May. So now I'll go over the competition details. The meta will be Sushi Boat. It's going to sell for 285,000 cash and give 85,000 points. There's going to be some new buildings. Fish farm that crafts eel and roe. You're going to need an aquaculturist to work with those. Sauce facility that crafts rice vinegar. It has its own worker. Worm farm that crafts worms. You're going to need a farmer or tractor to interact with those. There is another building, but it wasn't actually mentioned here, and that's the wasabi crop. The wasabi crop is where you get your wasabi from, so that's what it crafts. And it wasn't specified which worker would pick it up, so I'm not exactly sure, but I can speculate that it's going to be the farmer or the tractor that'll be picking up the wasabi. As for the new items, of course, Sushi Boat, which is the meta. That's gonna require 2 salmon nigiri, 1 eel nigiri, and 1 rice vinegar. Made in the sushi restaurant, takes 30 seconds, and it's stored in the storehouse. Your other new items are eel nigiri, which requires 1 white rice, 1 eel, 1 wasabi. Your eel, which requires 1 food mix. Your food mix requires 2 roe, 1 worms. Your roe requires 1 seaweed. Wasabi requires 3 water and grows faster in the shade. Worms requires 2 husk rice and 1 water, and rice vinegar requires 2 water, 1 white rice, and 1 sugar cane. So the wasabi is interesting. It's very unique actually. It grows faster in the shade, and this is the first time we ever see shade be a positive proximity effect to something. So you're gonna want your wasabi crop to be somewhere where there's at least 3 shade. That way you get a green timer on your wasabi. And green timer wasabi, it seems that it's going to be 1 minute craft time, whereas red timer is 4 minutes, which the red timer would happen if you have no shade on it. Yeah, this will be pretty fun to deal with. Shade isn't an issue. You pretty much have shade everywhere you have buildings. The only other thing is you do want to have 3 passive water on it. So normally you don't have ponds near your shade, but in this case you're going to want to for the wasabi. And you don't actually need a lot of wasabi for this meta. So I expect wasabi to be something where it's like just 1, 2, maybe 3 crops. Obviously it depends on your rate. but I don't expect you to need a lot of wasabi crops. Now I did make this little list right here. Hopefully it helps somebody out. This is the rate of items that you'll need for every sushi boat. So not counting water or energy or water drums or crude oil. So for every one sushi boat, you're gonna need 2 salmon nigiri, 1 eel nigiri, 1 rice vinegar, 2 salmon, 4 white rice, 1 eel, 1 wasabi, 2 or 4 fish chum, 1 food mix, 4 or 8 shrimp, 12 or 22 seaweed, 2 roe, 1 worms, 10 rice husk, and 1 sugarcane. Yeah, this will hopefully help you figure out the ratio of what you need for a sushi boat. Now, obviously, fish chum, shrimp, and seaweed vary because you're either doing wild net fishing or fishing platforms or a mix of both. And if you're doing fishing platforms, it's going to take in the higher quantity of the items. So as for biomes, I recommend the desert biome just because there's not that much you need to clear and you get the oil seep. Then that helps you out with your gas production and your energy production. You already know desert it makes things so much easier. However, I do recommend you focus more on the edge biomes more. So you're definitely gonna want to try to get either an ocean to help you with the passive salty that the seaweed needs, or a river to help you with the passive water demands for all these various crops that you're gonna need. Preferably, you want 2 oceans or 2 rivers or a mix of both, possibly even 3 rivers if you can somehow manage that. Even if it's not a desert, it can still be done in plains or forests. It's just gonna be harder to clear everything. You're not gonna have your passive crude oil, but really you should consider actually building nuclear power plants. They are expensive. It's gonna take you a while, but it's gonna help you craft energy much. It's gonna give you passive energy. It's not really important the crafting of energy. You're just gonna get a lot of passive energy for your wild net fishing or your fishing platforms. Now, yeah, the gasoline might be an issue, but if you're actually going for sushi boats, I don't think you'll need a whole lot of gasoline, so just a couple crude oil pumps should be okay. So as for the method of getting salmon, you can either do wild net fishing or fishing platforms. I highly recommend you do wild net fishing. The unfortunate part to that is you need to use the waterway edges, so that's why you want multiple oceans or rivers. You want to have be using those edges as much as possible to put wild net fishing spots. And yeah, you may be thinking wild net fishing takes longer, but the thing is it requires only 1 fish chum per salmon, and that helps you out so much with the rates. You don't need as much seaweed and other buildings to meet the fish chum demands for your salmon nigiri. And trust me, the way the last competition went, I realized that wild net fishing actually did help you reach a much higher rate than what you normally would get with fishing platforms. So if possible, try to do wild net fishing. I understand you might still need to put down some fishing platforms depending on your rates, but ultimately I see wild net fishing giving you the highest rate for salmon. As for research, it wasn't mentioned in these details. I'm assuming it's going to be the same exact research. And yes, I highly recommend that you do the research. It's definitely worth it. The items aren't that hard to get, and the cash isn't absurdly high. And overall, it's just going to help you with your production rate, and you're going to get all that money back, and then the extra stars that you get from it. So I do recommend research. Corrupted portal, so they did mention the corrupted portal was going away, but from my understanding it's still going to be in place for this next competition. They're just not going to add it back to Town Star Good Dope, so it's not going to be there. But for this competition we should have the corrupted portal. So after you're completely done with your build and you're done with your research, yeah, you want to build your corrupted portal. And make sure you pay attention to how much money you're draining when you run it. Obviously, you don't want to run out of cash, but you do want to use it to gain additional stars with the excess cash that you're building up. So definitely do Corrupted Portal, but make sure you're paying attention. So if you're wondering if this meta is live, it depends on when you're watching this video, but the meta is expected to go live on Monday, April 17th, 2023. Just not exactly sure what time. And yeah, unfortunately, that only gives us a day to practice, probably even less than a day. And unfortunately, because of that, I'm not gonna have time to make a no NFT build like I mentioned on my previous video, unless I get it out super early, but even then I'm not completely sure. I'm going to try to focus on my competitive build first and see how far I can even get with that. I don't even know if I'll be able to finish it, but maybe that'll give me an idea of what to expect, and I can share that knowledge with all of you. But yeah, right now that's the plan. If the meta goes live, and I'll just try to do what I can to practice a build for the competition. If you didn't do the last competition and you honestly have no clue where to start, I recommend you check out my no NFT Salmon nigiri build video. That's pretty much half the meta, you know, the Salmon nigiri. So yeah, check that out, maybe do that, and then implement the new stuff and just try to get the sushi boats. This is better than nothing. So really, that's all the information I have. If you're wondering why my Discord is all red and colorful, that's because I got a free month of Discord Nitro, so it lets me select the themes. And I just selected red because it matches my shirt today. Not really important though. But yeah, that's everything. Feel free to like the video, leave a comment if you're planning on participating in the competition, or if you're intimidated by it. I don't know. Consider subscribing if you haven't done so. Appreciate your support. Thank you for watching.